Hello and welcome to Mansell Raceway on the 25th of October 2020 for the third and final round of the Two Counties Kart Club Championship. Unfortunately, a bit of a decimated calendar due to the ongoing global pandemic. But into the final round, Anthony Cleal leads the way with Russell O'Neill second, Mike Bell and Paul Alexander even on third, with Kevin O'Neill making up the top five ahead of Paul Alexander, David Waldron, David Good, Mike Watson, Jeff Webster rounding out the top 10. Unfortunately for Cleal, because of the reduced calendar, the drop option is no longer in effect, so his score will count. Blue Masters, Russell O'Neill leading the way ahead of Cleal, with Alexander, O'Neill, Paul Dybel, David Good, David Waldron, Mike Watts, Jeff Webster and Nigel Vickery making up the top 10. And in the Blue Veterans, it's Cleal leading from Alexander, Kevin O'Neill, Paul Dybel, David Good and Waldron, Mike Watts, Jeff Webster, Nigel Vickery and on the show. In the Blue Legends, it's all to play for as David Good and Kevin O'Neill go into this final round on 0 points apiece, with Ron Schoen and Mike Watts right in behind and Jeff Webster in 5th. And in the Blue Top Weights, it's Paul Dybel leading the way from Mike Watts and Ron Schoen. In the 3 heats today, in a wet heat 1, Russell O'Neill would take the win ahead of Anthony Cleal from Sarita Schoen, Mike Bell and Ron Schoen. In heat 2, everything had dried up nicely and Anthony Cleal took the win from Sam Dybel, with David Waldron an impressive third ahead of Paul Dybel and Alexander. And in heat 3, Anthony Cleal would take the win again, this time from Russell O'Neill, Sam Dybel, David Waldron and Michael Bell. You can see now the drivers make their final couple of preparations before Anthony Cleal is going to lead them out for the final formation lap of the season. Here he goes, number 1 leading the way ahead of Russell O'Neill, with Michael Bell and Sarita Schoen on row 2. David Waldron beats out Sam Dybel on tiebreak ahead of the Pauls, Dybel and Alexander. David Good and Ron Schoen making up the top 10. A return to racing for number 66 Rob Mortimer in 11th ahead of Kevin O'Neill, with Jeff Webster and the novice Phil Shears making up the 14-strong field that's about to go racing. As Anthony Cleal now leads them all up to Hanger Bend. They're going to be setting up into a 2x2 formation. Going to cut through the final chicane and then we will be underway, so keep an eye out for Anthony Cleal just managing the pace. You can see him there left of shot in the Tony kart. Russell O'Neill alongside him in the Mac, with another Mac of Mike Bell and a course of Sarita Schoen on the second row. You can see there Mortimer the 66 in the all-white back to racing. And we are going to be underway any second now as green lights will be going on. And away we go, and a good start from Cleal, good start from Bell. O'Neill bogs down, so Cleal leads from Bell. Schoen and O'Neill now side by side. Sam Dybel ran the outside of Paul Alexander, who's had a good start. David Waldron's in the mix as well. Now going up into turn 2, and that's contact between Alexander and Waldron. Waldron's done a great job to save it, but O'Neill now back up to second ahead of Bell, Dybel, Schoen and Waldron. And that's 3 wide, that looks like Shears, O'Neill and Webster. Coming off of the turn 3, as Cleal extends his gap from Russell O'Neill. And that's Sam Dybel now ahead, so Mike Bell struggling it seems in the opening few corners. And Sarita Schoen's got ahead as well in the red, ahead of Bell in the blue, then Waldron. And round Hanger Bend for the first time. Cleal's pulled out a massive advantage, most of that coming right from the start. O'Neill, Dybel, Schoen, Bell and Waldron through the chicane. Then it's Dybel, Alexander, Good, Schoen, Mortimer. And then Phil Shears as it comes around to end the first lap. Sam Dybel up 4 spots already, and that's Waldron going down the inside of Bell into turn 1. They're going to run side by side on the exit. It looks like Waldron's going to have the grunt, and sure enough he does. David Waldron now up into 5th. That's O'Neill now from Dybel looking to go through. There's Mortimer on the back of Schoen, and that's Webster running a bit wide, and Kevin O'Neill's going to cut back underneath and through out of turn 4. Kevin O'Neill makes up a place up into 13th. As Cleal now extends his gap once more on the run up to Hanger. There's O'Neill, Dybel and Schoen. Close enough they can throw a blanket over them. As now out of the top bend, down towards the chicane. Everyone looks like they're in a big long train aside from Cleal at the moment. He's through the chicane and now up towards the start-finish line. Pretty much 10 karts in the line there. As David Good having a think about looking to the inside of Paul Alexander. Up on the exit going down towards the kink of turn 2. Get a bit of a sense of the speed these things are carrying into there, and it's just a big stop to one of the tightest corners on the circuit. And then on the run out up towards the extension loop, and there is Kevin O'Neill looking to try and get back underneath Phil Shears, battling hard over 12th place. Meanwhile, Sam Dybel all over the rear bumper of Russell O'Neill as the top Looks like that group of 4 karts for second place starting to break away from the middle group. Bell trying to go with them. Now down into the chicane, there they go. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 as close as that. As Cleo now sideways into turn 1, scrubbing speed off by getting a bit of a slide in the rear of the cart. David Good now looking, not sure if he's looking to defend from Ron Schoen or attack Paul Alexander, but either way he's pulling out. Now Cleo up onto the back stretch, then there's O'Neill, Dybel, Schoen and Waldron. So David Waldron's actually closed in on that triplet. And there's the next 5. See there, the sky's starting to get very dark, the sun has definitely gone to hide. Bit of a cooler temperature for this race. What will that mean? And Cleo still extending that gap through the chicane. Then there's O'Neill, Dybel, Schoen, Waldron, Bell. The rest of the top 6. Then there's Dybel, Alexander with a big chunk of curb on the way in. Will that give David Good a run on the way out? Doesn't look like it. They're Good looking to the inside. Not going to go for it. And there's more sliding that white cart around. Phil Shears and Kevin O'Neill still nose to tail. Now on the way through turn 3 again. There's Dybel, Alexander, Good, Schoen and Mortimer. Mortimer's been out of action since March, so he's doing good to jump straight back into this with a full wet day of testing, not giving anything representative to work with, and he's hanging on to the back of the pack pretty well. Meanwhile, Cleo extending that gap even further. O'Neill not able to shake Dybel or Schoen or Waldron. Bell in kind of no man's land there, and that's David Good looking possibly to defend from Ron Schoen into the chicane once more. Now around turn 1 once more, there goes that battle for 2nd. Now here's the battle for 7th. Dybel, Alexander, Schoen attacking David Good. Nothing doing there though, and you can see now just some spots of rain starting to fall. That'll make things very lively. At this point it won't really affect too much, but if the rain gets any harder come the end of the race, that may throw a spanner into the works for several teams. Well, Cleo up towards Hanger Bend once again. Just disappearing behind the wall. And there he goes now down to the long straight towards the chicane. Russell O'Neill still holding on to 2nd. Sam Dybel using all the track to try and catch him. Sarita Schoen just hanging on as well. And they're starting to drop Waldron and Bell a little bit. Meanwhile, for this next group, that's Ron Schoen looking to the inside of Paul Alexander. So Schoen is past Good on that lap. There's Rob Mortimer in there as well. This group of 5 karts battling for 7th. That's Ron Schoen looking to the inside of Alexander to turn 1, but to no avail. Now back to the camera at turn 4, and you can see the rain starting to get a little heavier now. It's a bit more than just a few drops. So that will start to be affecting the drivers out there on full slicks. If the surface starts getting wet, then you're going to be seeing them slide around like crazy. Meanwhile, there goes the battle for 2nd up towards Top Bend. There's Dybel starting to pull away from Alexander a little bit. He looks like he's under pressure from Schoen. Now Cleo through the chicane once more. Big gap now. Back to O'Neill, and then Dybel, Schoen, Waldron and Bell. Down to turn 1. Therese Schoen having a think about looking to the inside of Sam Dybel there, but to no avail. There's Paul Dybel, Alexander, Schoen, Good and Mortimer. Running tight in a pack. Looks like the battle for 2nd has come down to just those 3 karts now. They go up through turn 5. And through turn 4 goes the battle still for 7th place. Now Cleo round Top Bend, and you can see now rain starting to affect the camera. Starting to fall a bit heavier, so lap times will be dropping off. Grip will be dropping off at the same rate, so we'll have to see who's managed to keep some heat in the tyres. Looks like Cleo's still pretty much running the dry line. Oh, that's Sam Dybel down the inside of Russell O'Neill into turn 1, but O'Neill's going to cut back underneath and get a better exit and retain that 2nd place. Now there's, and big sideways moment from Paul Dybel there, and a big one for Rob Mortimer as well, and he's lost it, he's spun. He's going to get it back going again though, but that is evident that the grip is disappearing, certainly down in turn 1. He's going to get back going though, ahead of Kevin O'Neill still. There's Phil Shears. He's running far more of a wet line there as Jeff Webster looks to close in on him. These two battling for 13th. Meanwhile, coming out of top end, Cleal towards the chicane, you can see he's definitely backed the pace off quite a bit. The rain's starting to fall a bit heavier. Now with 2 laps to go, can any of this group go anything? You can see there are different lines from all 3 of O'Neill, Dybel and Schoen through the chicane on that lap. And now Dybel, he's going all over the circuit looking for grip. Running fully on the wet line. There's David Waldron in 5th and Bell in 6th, who must be hoping that the rain gets even harder. Now back for the battle for 7th is Dybel, Alexander, Schoen and David Good looking to get on the inside, and big sideways moments from both Paul Dybel and Alexander. Got to be careful not to get out onto the paint because that stuff is slippery when it's wet. Now back to the chicane. There's Phil Shears and Jeff Webster really closing in on him. There's Anthony Cleal now rounding the top bend. Any second now, there he goes. Meanwhile, that's Sam Dybel looking to put a move on Russell O'Neill as they disappeared behind the wall. He's going to come out ahead. They're going to be side by side. And Russell O'Neill's going to get the drive round the outside. He's going to hold on to that second place still. But you've got a feeling that Sam Dybel really is hungry. As there goes Schoen, Waldron and Bell. Looking back now, that is Paul Dybel and Paul Alexander. They've pulled out a bit on Ron Schoen, and that's Sam Dybel now. Once again going past Russell O'Neill. Now can he hold on to it? And sure enough, Sam Dybel round the outside. The number 30 up into 2nd ahead of Russell O'Neill. That's onto the final lap they go. There's David Good having another look to the inside of Ron Schoen. There's Kevin O'Neill looking to close in on Rob Mortimer as they go through the chicane. Meanwhile, half a lap now for Anthony Cleal before he will secure another victory in Formula Blue 2020. But who's going to be second at the moment? It's Dybel. And that's Jeff Webster still closing in on Phil Shears, so that will be a close battle to the line. But out of top end, Anthony Cleal is going to make the run down to the chicane. Just the 3 apexes left to go. Sam Dybel looking like he's got the measure of Russell O'Neill in 2nd. And then Sarita Schoen, David Waldron and Mike Bell all closing up, but it's too late for anyone as Anthony Cleal crosses the line to take the victory here today at Mansell Raceway. Sam Dybel takes 2nd ahead of Russell O'Neill in 3rd. Sarita Schoen's going to finish 4th ahead of David Waldron and Mike Bell, who are only 3/10 apart at the end. Paul Dybel is going to actually have gaps quite a bit to Paul Alexander on that final lap. Dybel in 7th ahead of Alexander in 8th. With David Good repassing Ron Schoen on the final lap to take 9th ahead of Schoen in 10th. You can see there the results popping up. Rob Mortimer going to be finishing in 11th ahead of Kevin O'Neill, Phil Shears and Jeff Webster. The order remaining completely unchanged, no penalties for anyone. And that is going to be the final point scoring action of the 2020 season, and what that will do to the Two Counties Kart Club Championship is it's going to confirm that for the 2nd year running, Russell O'Neill is going to be the Two Counties Kart Club champion, with Mike Bell 2nd for the 2nd year in a row. Paul Alexander is going to take 3rd place on countback ahead of David Waldron, with Paul Dybel making up the top 5 ahead of David Good. In the Blue Masters standings, Russell O'Neill is going to take the championship once again for the 2nd year in a row. This time from Paul Alexander, David Waldron, Paul Dybel and David Good. And Paul Alexander is going to be taking the Veterans title ahead of David Waldron, Paul Dybel, David Good and Kevin O'Neill rounding out the top 5 in that subclass. In the Blue Legends, the championship is going to go to David Good ahead of Kevin O'Neill, with Ron Schoen, Jeff Webster and Mike Watts making up the top 5. And Paul Dybel takes the Blue Top Weight Championship ahead of Ron Schoen, Mike Watts, Rob Mortimer and Phil Shears. And that will be the action complete for Formula Blue from 2020. We will look forward to seeing you again in 2021. Have a good Christmas and hopefully we will see you next year.